So as stewardship leader, you have the responsibility of say and participate in financial decisions. Sometimes it comes to you even if you are not waiting for it, or sometimes it just comes and you are thrown to it without any planification. So I would like to share with you some advices of things that I've seen and I've done in my ministry, and things that as a pastor I think there are good practices, but also many of them you can do with the help of your pastor and your church, and they will make a difference. Number one, create a financial committee. Many churches, because they are too small, they don't need specifically a financial committee. The church board becomes the financial committee. However, when the church is growing in size and you see that the church board is spending a lot of time into financial decision, you as a stewardship leader, you can advise the pastor and the board meeting to have a financial committee that will look up the financial request and the expenses and make wiser decisions, so you can give recommendations to the board. It doesn't mean that you will you have the same authority as the board, but you have the recommendations and you will save a lot of time. Even it may be good if the board allows some specific budget for the financial committee to approve things, so they can save time, and the board meeting time will be focused on evangelism and the missions of the church. Another thing that you guys can do as a financial committee is to develop a financial policy for the church. What we'll do when these kind of things come. For example, in a church that you see that people usually have financial requests and they want you to help paying for this or paying for that. One of the things that we did in one of our churches is that we created a policy that expressed what to do when somebody requested for education, what to do when somebody requested for food or for any other things. So something very nice and that make a huge impact was that we established the rule that every financial request need to come with a letter. That lowered the request very much, because some people were requesting things because it was easy to request, not because they really needed the request. So you can create a policy and say, for our church, we have this policy. You send a letter, you send a budget, you send a list of expenses, and then we will discuss based on that. That will save time to the board. You will know what you need, and also for the financial committee. So that's something that you can do. The financial committee usually has a couple of members, like the pastor, the church clerk, the treasurer, sometimes the assistant treasurer, the stewardship director, and one elder. If the positions are repeated, you can even make it smaller. However, about 5 people, I think is gonna be okay or effective for most of the churches. Second, create a church budget. Yes, you can do it with the financial committee, but it's good if you, as a stewardship leader, if you are the one making the proposal, you work on the expenses of the previous year and you try to present something that will save time when you guys get together. That speaks good about your leadership, because you are investing time so you can save everybody's time. A good church budget speaks highly about the church. It creates trust, it promotes transparency, and it helps to measure and evaluate the church behavior on the expenses. Sometimes I've seen that the church invests in their money, a lot of their finances, in things that are not related to evangelism. So I'm not surprised why some churches are struggling or dying. Sometimes the church is very expensive just to keep it open, so we need to lower the expenses. Sometimes things has been approved when there was not a budget, and nobody's making sense that those expenses are too much for the local church. So those things are going to allow you as a leader to build the trust that you need, and people will know that you are really seeking the best for the church, because those things are part of what a good steward does. So you are living by example and applying to the church administration. Number 3, promote town hall meetings or business meetings. In some places, the business meetings have a bad reputation. Some people believe that it's because somebody's going to be undisciplined or because there is some kind of problem. Some people even take the business meeting as a general pulpit to screen, to challenge, and to disrespect pastor or leaders. So that's not the case. You are promoting town hall meetings where you can have or lead conversations where people can make questions, they can hear the goals of the church, and they can feel part of the decision making. In one of the churches that I had, I made a survey and I noticed that more than the 75% of the congregation believe that the decision making in the finances of the church was made by the board without their participation. 75% of the congregation. That means that even some board members said that they don't trust or that they are not part of the decision making. That was a lot in that small church. So what I did is that I started doing those small town halls or business meetings where people start feeling more comfortable participating, hearing, and just knowing about what's going on in the finances. That helped to increase participation in finances, and that built trust among the donors, among the church. Something very important is that if you want to increase donors or if you want to create trust, you need to visit members. Through visitation, you have better business conversations. You can go to people and present if you have any project for the church or for the church finances. You can go to their homes and share with them how the church is doing, what expenses are coming, what big expenses passed, and how is the financial health of the church. It's the best place to do it, in their homes, maybe sitting there on their tables, in their living rooms or somewhere, that they feel that you are coming because you are a friend and you are somebody that can be trusted. And the last advice that I have for you, create an atmosphere of spirituality. When you have a big expense or a big project, you can see in the Bible how those big expenses or big projects are part of a biblical principle. Rebuilding is in the Bible, healing in the Bible, donating in the Bible, a mission trip is in the Bible, investing on our pathfinders or adventures is in the Bible, investing in anything. You can find biblical grounds that it supports that these big expenses are part of the progress of the church. So instead of making it a business transaction, try to let people to be led by their faith, so they can understand that this is part of what the church is supposed to do if God is leading the church. So they will help and they will increase their participation, not because you are just asking for it, but because they can see that God's blessing is requiring it. Now, the last advice for you, remember that you're called to be a spiritual leader. If you are not spiritual, you're not the leader. They trust you because they believe in this church, they believe in this message, they believe in God's word. So you need to be well grounded in this message in the Bible so you can present to them a conversation, a language, and a leadership figure that they can understand. Remember, you're a spiritual leader or you're nothing. Stewardship is about spirituality. If you are not a leader, spiritual leader, you are not. I hope that you can take these practices, you can apply them, and you can see the benefit of the church in organization and administration, but also in spirituality, as we grow together to show the world what Christ is really practical and how He looks in 2025.